This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
This house would censor entertainment material that glorifies drug abuse. Is our matter of discussion tonight. Allow me to pick on a few issues that were stated here by our first negative. First and foremost, he came and talked of Uganda as their parameter. I would like to come and try and reinstate and re-emphasize the justification of the United States of America as a very, very, very justifiable parameter for this resolution. First and foremost, the United States of America has consistently ranked among the countries, the first 10 countries in the world with issues to do with drug abuse, and they are currently ranking 7th according to www.wikipedia.com. And furthermore, the United States is facing a lot of issues when it comes to the publication of content concerning drugs and other issues such as violence. It is on that note that we believe it is a very justifiable parameter for this resolution. Second to that, he talked of this being a would-be resolution and that the law has already been passed in the United States of America, therefore there is no need to. Please, according to the Television and Violence Act, signed in 1996 in the Constitution of the United States, content that was censored involved things such as violence, nudity, and uncouth remarks such as messages on hate. There was no censoring of what content dealing with drug abuse, and that is what we want to take on because it has worked for us as per these vices. According to statistics that I'm going to read, it has worked on these vices. Therefore, we believe it would be very wise to take it on as a solution to the raising issues on drug abuse. Next to that, the first negative said they would rather put the content out there and leave it to the viewers to choose what to do with it. What he's stating is just like putting ghee next to a stove and you do not expect it to melt. There is no way you can expect young viewers to view this content because the televisions are exposing content to all age groups of people. Therefore, the young viewers who are not yet mature enough to make judgments of their own will be exposed to this content. And you cannot tell us that you leave it up to them to judge for themselves. We need to cut out this content. We need to censor it so that they are not exposed to it at a tender age when they cannot make judgments for themselves. Next to that, he talked of several issues of addicts. As a matter of fact, this resolution clearly shows that we are intending to first and foremost curb drug abuse amongst those people who have not yet fallen victim to it. Therefore, addicts do not come in relevant because there are further solutions that we can deem possible for helping the addicts, but we are trying to tackle those people who are not yet victims of what? Of drug abuse. Given the adverse negative effects of drug abuse and its rampant growth around the world, any steps in the positive direction is very vital, and censorship is one of those. You cannot disregard what censorship can do, because anything that can help us fight drug abuse in the world would be welcome in this fight, because there are so many adverse effects. There are massive financial costs on purchase and rehabilitation. There are profound cases of mental cases and various health issues that arise from drug abuse. There is no way you can expect us not to take every step possible in fighting what? In fighting drug abuse due to these massive effects. And censorship is one of those steps. The big question would be, why censorship? Out of all those possible solutions, why are we taking on censorship as the United States? First and foremost, censorship has worked elsewhere in countries such as Malaysia on suppressing vices like nudity and strong language. According to worldindata.com, the view of adult entertainment content reduced by over 4.4% in Malaysia between 2004 and 2018, which shows that if we actually take on censorship as a measure of controlling drug abuse, we can actually achieve a step in the positive direction. Next to that, censorship has also worked for the United States of America on other vices, such as I mentioned them before, it has worked on vices such as airing of racist remarks, airing of messages of hate and nudity. Therefore, we believe it would come in key in fighting drug abuse. In our work plan, as the Federal Communications Commission of the United States of America, 1, we intend to pick on and take more effective measures, such as cutting of scenes rather than blurring of the scenes, because this would help us entirely remove the coverage of such content. And also, we plan to block sites that are still airing such content that involves drug abuse. Next to that, we plan to effect it through various registered television stations, radio stations, and official entertainment websites that are registered as per the Federal Communications Commission of the United States. Next to that, according to worldindata.com, the average budget was approximated to be about 1.8 billion for censorship and closure of unauthorized sites. And we believe we can afford to take on this budget and fight drug abuse. With that, I beg to rest my case.
Kalumba Abraham, St. Mark's College Namagoma. The resolution today states this house would censor entertainment material that glorifies drug abuse. We as Negators strongly disagree. First of all, to begin with, our house as Negators is the National Drug Authority. Since our perimeters are set in Uganda. First, to begin with, the farmers came and set their perimeters as USA. But if you look at the resolution, it clearly states this house would censor, which means it's in the future. But currently in the USA, there's censorship of entertainment material that glorifies drug abuse. So we come here to disagree. Our house is Uganda because currently there's no censorship of entertainment material that glorifies drug abuse. To continue with, we would not censor entertainment material that glorifies drug abuse because it's not that material that influences people to do drug abuse, but we would sensitize people to make sure that their peace, they make right choices, as my first negator came on here and said. How do we do this? We carry out sensitization programs in schools because we believe most of the entertainment is consumed by youth in schools, and our target would be the schools. Since they have more youth, we would make sensitization programs in these schools to make sure that these youth make right choices. Success is a choice, not a chance. So we would take this advantage to make sure that people make right choices, that they don't influenced to do drug abuse. The censoring entertainment material that glorifies drug abuse does not deter the influence of peers, which is already in place. Those who are already influenced by their peers won't be deterred from doing drugs because they have censored the entertainment material. But they will continue doing the drugs. But what should we do? We should sensitize them to make sure that they have a right choice. They make the right choices. If they make the choice is in your hands to either choose to abuse the drugs or not to abuse the drugs. But if we sensitize them to make right choices, they will choose the better side, not the sophisticated and harmful side of abusing drugs, but they will make a choice of not abusing the drugs. So we should sensitize them to make sure that they do not abuse drugs instead of censoring entertainment material that glorifies drug abuse. Our plan is we would sensitize people in schools, in masses, to make sure that they make choices. Our main aim today is choice, the power of choice. The power is in your hands to either choose or not to choose. What they are saying that the material influences people to do the drugs is not true. The power is in your hands. We all have the power to either choose to abuse drugs or not to abuse drugs. A wise man once said, I once lived in a room of mirrors, and all I could see was myself. But I let out my spirit, and now I have a whole world to see. What does it mean? If I have the power to make the choice, I will have a whole world to see. I will either choose to abuse the drugs or not to abuse the drugs. So if you come here and tell us if you are censoring material that glorifies drug abuse, you're going to stop abusing of drugs. No. The problem is the choices we make. We should sensitize people to make better choices, and then we shall do away with the drug abuse. The censoring will not help at the moment. I rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.